Hey, what's up guys? You're getting exclusive access to one of our videos in which we do a weekly real estate training here for the 100% Finance staff. And today's topic of discussion is reasons why I sold my 11-unit apartment building. Alright, for one, I do not like selling properties. Period, whatsoever. I prefer to hold it as long as possible. Why? You see the name on the t-shirt, for the cash flow. So cash flow is the gross revenue minus all your operating expenses like taxes, insurance, property management fees, and so forth, minus your debt service, which can be your seller financing, it could be business credit, it could be the mortgage payment, many different ways, right, that you can finance the property. That's called debt service. The debt you borrow to service a loan, to service the property. After all those expenses are paid, whatever's left over is the cash flow. And the cash flow affords your personal living expenses. So why on earth would I want to sell my 11-unit apartment building? Here's the HUD right here. We just sold it Friday of last week. Closed on it. And the net proceeds to the seller, which is in this case is my partners and I, was a grand total of $30,992.02. That was transferred to my bank account Friday of last week. So I'm 30 grand richer, right? All my partners and I. However, I wasn't happy about it. Most people would be excited because they consider that flipping a property, right? Oh, you bought it and you flipped it. Oh man, that's great. You got $30,000. I don't want to sell my properties. You know, not just for the pride, because I like to have more units in my portfolio, but it's just for the simple fact, like I mentioned, the cash flow. Okay, so I'm a huge proponent of buying and holding. I will hold this property till the wheels fall off. Okay, but I sold it for a specific reason. And the question is, why would anyone, a real estate investor, sell their property? For one, you spend so much time acquiring the property, getting partners together, doing the analysis, the due diligence and so forth, the property management, or you being the asset manager where you manage the property manager. If you spend so much time, so much money, so much of your resources to buy it, why would you sell it? These reasons right here. If the property gets on its last leg or it gets on your last nerves. Last leg meaning the property's dilapidated, it got like a little gangster lean to it, it has a whole bunch of foundational issues, a big rodent issue, or it could just be in a bad neighborhood. Let's say the neighborhood is going down, right? It's no longer a decent area, but let's say the crime rate is increasing. Or perhaps it gets on your last nerves because something happened with the numbers, with the operating expenses or the debt service to the point it's no longer cash flowing. So the latter is what actually happened to my partners and I. This property got on my last nerves simply because of the finances. The operating expenses. What operating expenses specifically? The taxes. So when we bought the property, we bought it undervalued, right? And the property was assessed very low. But in 2017, the city or the county property assessors, I should say, they decided to reassess the property. And the taxes for this property doubled, more than doubled. So being that the taxes doubled, that ate up all our cash flow. To the point that I personally had to provide a loan to the property to make sure that it stays afloat. Because the taxes doubled, so we had an additional, I think it was about $9,000 that needed to be made to make sure that the taxes got paid. So that was getting on my nerves, period. For one, it's not cash flowing, and for two, I had to come out of pocket in order to pay for the taxes. Okay? So being that it got on my last nerves, as a result of me having to come out of pocket to provide a loan, the partners weren't too thrilled at it either. Because who wants to partner with you if they happen to find out that they're doing a break-even? Sure, no money came out of their pocket, but it was just a break-even situation. So they cash flow. We purchased this property, this 11-unit, in 2014. So we cash flow 2014, 2015, 2016, but 2017, that's when the taxes were reassessed. Okay? So that was the main reason why I sold it. And keep in mind, when we acquired this property, we had it close to 100% financed. 80% came through the mortgage, 10% came through seller financing, and the rest came from the partners. So pretty much about 90% finance. Okay? And being that it was 90% financing, that's a lot of debt service. So you have to make sure that cash flow is strong. So it pays off all those expenses as well as at least profit for you and your partners. So being that 2017 hit and the taxes were reassessed to the point I had to come out of pocket, I realized I have to act quickly on this, because you don't ever want to hold a non-performing asset that's going to bleed money out of your pocket. You guys follow?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Go ahead.
When you said that you had to loan the money, so who paid you back since the partners broke even?
Oh, good question, good question. So when we sold the property, so we just sold it. So I said the proceeds were $30,992.02.
Oh,
So
okay, so you get that out.
I got it, yeah, of course, I make recoup my loan, quote unquote. All right, so I make sure I recoup this money back after the sale. So even though the net proceeds were $30,000 some change, I made sure I got the $9,000 back plus interest. Okay? Yeah, so it wasn't just a wash for me. It's not like I'm just a great guy and say, all right, I'll just take the L for the team, guys. No, I'm gonna get my money back. But I waited until we sold the property. Okay, just recoup it with interest. Okay, so I listed it. So as soon as I realized, you know what, this is costing me money, the partners are not eating off of this either, I need to list it and list it fast. So we listed the property, and by the way, the property was in pristine condition. Very good shape. And it was 100% occupied, managed well. So the property was excellent condition. It wasn't on its last leg whatsoever. So we listed it with a real estate agent who was very aggressive, and she found someone who was a cash buyer. So I believe Ty asked me before, why would someone buy that property if the taxes double? Well, not everybody uses 100% financing. Some people use 0% financing. That's called a cash buyer. So it's an investor or a group of investors, I don't know who the buyer was, but they ended up buying it cash. There was no mortgage involved. So as a result of them buying it cash, they had no debt service whatsoever. So keep in mind, we had debt service. We had a mortgage, which covered 80% of the purchase price, and we had seller financing, which covered 10% of the purchase price.
You also have partners?
Well, the partners weren't, yeah, we have partners too, but they weren't financing. They were equity partners.
So when you said that you listed it, what if your partners go against what your desire? So who makes the final decision?
That's a great question. So with this 11-unit apartment building, I bought this in a limited partnership, okay, with me acting as the general partner. So as the general partner, wherever I say goes, pretty much. Not to sound cocky or arrogant, but I'm the sole decision maker on what we do with the property. The partners are just only limited to their capital invested.
And that's based off your agreement with them?
Correct. Yep, so we have a limited partnership. Okay? All right, but great questions. So we listed the property pretty much a tad bit higher than what we purchased it at, but we ended up selling it pretty much at a break-even standpoint as a result of the increase in the taxes to a cash buyer who had zero debt service. So he was still cash flowing because he didn't have any debt. Okay. All right, so the key thing to gain from this experience that I went through, and then, again, I have a lot of rental units, but it's still a growth period. You always have to monitor your assets, each and every one, because riches don't last forever. You have to have accountability for every asset that you have, whether it's a business, whether it's a property, any asset that's in your portfolio, you need to monitor that asset closely. So that's one thing that I did effectively, is have do thorough analysis for me to check, whoa, the taxes doubled. What can we do about this? We tried contesting the taxes, couldn't do it. Is there anything else we could shave costs? Well, we tried paying down the seller financing aggressively, but it just wasn't enough. So we said, you know what? Let's just list it. So you have to do careful analysis of your portfolio. I'll say on a frequent basis. Okay? You should always focus on the exit strategy as well. Have multiple exit strategies in place. So one of our exit strategies was paying down the seller financing. So that's one thing that we did, right? And we also decided, you know what, let's just sell it. Worst comes to worst, we just list it and see what we can go from there. Okay? And so the seller financing, as I mentioned, we end up paying that down aggressively to the point that we can walk away with $30,000 for the partners. So out of that $30,000, I got my $9,000 back, plus $450 in interest payments. And to make the math easy, the remainder is like $21,000, and there's 3 partners. We split that $21,000. We got about $7,000 each.